Now at 9, a Joplin organization hosts a poverty simulation to help members understand different struggles. Plus, the Silver Dollar City provides an update on yesterday's train crash that injured 7 people. And some crucial Senate races tighten up as midterms get closer.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I am Amber Jenkins. We have some breaking news tonight outside the Tulsa area. Authorities says Broken Arrow says 8 people were found dead in a suspected homicides after a house fire was extinguished. Broken Arrow police says that the fire and the deaths were being investigated as homicides, but they did not believe the immediate threat to the public existed. No other information is being released at this time. Authorities are investigating allegations against the Neosho, Kansas County attorney. According to the Neosho County Sheriff, an investigation is underway following a slew of complaints against Linus Thurston. The sheriff told KOAM that he'll like to talk more about it, but since it's ongoing, he couldn't. The State Attorney General's office did confirm that there is an investigation and no prosecutorial decisions have been made. Thurston is currently serving his second stint as county attorney after holding the post in the late 90s and early 2000s. Doug Hetty joins us with the first look at weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today. Temperatures right about where they should be for this time of the year. We did see a lot of mid and upper level clouds, but not bad. 67, 44 were the numbers for us today. We have a light easterly wind. Most of us are sitting low 50s, upwards to upper 50s in our western counties. But check that out. We got a band of showers working into our western counties. Unfortunately, a lot of this is going to fall apart once it gets in, but we are going to get some scattered showers on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Just west of Yates Center, Fredonia, just to the west of Independence. In fact, let's go through time. You can see this little band gets in. Chanute Parsons down toward Oswego. Kind of falls apart late tonight, and then by morning, these are all going to be gone, but at least a few showers out there. 45 to start, 47 by 9, 60 by noon. We do have more rain chances for the weekend. We'll look at that here in just a bit.
The Coffeyville, Kansas Fire Department released details regarding 2 structure fires this past weekend. The fires took place at 7th and Pine and Penn Street. They say the fires were fueled in part by the high winds and large scale suffered significant damage. No residents or firefighters were injured. Some Joplin community leaders get a lesson in what it means to live in poverty. Over the course of a few hours today, 80 community members from 50 organizations experienced a simulated month of living in poverty. Scenarios are based on the experiences of community individuals and families.
The event is designed to give participants insights into the challenges low-income families face daily, as well as to help identify areas of change that could impact poverty's impact on the Joplin region.
They come in, they're given a persona for the day, they're assigned a family, and they have to work through the struggles of normal daily life, whether that's getting children to school, buying groceries, paying their rent, paying their utilities, but really working through those just normal day-to-day things that we may take for granted.
Brown says empathy is needed when dealing with the community.
Just because this helps our community leaders to have empathy and to remember that everyone's experiences are unique and that it's easy sometimes to judge from the outside of what we think someone should be doing or how they could change the outcome. But it's good to experience this real life to feel those frustrations.
One participant tells me about the character he played.
I was a young boy, about 10 years old, and so I was at the whims of my mother and father going around making sure I got to school and also having to pay for lunches at school and take care of myself if they were out, trying to find resources, and it put stress on the family.
I spoke to 2 participants who says this changed their perspective.
So something as simple as getting from point A to point B, getting to work, childcare, just getting to and from the store. I also learned how difficult it can sometimes be to learn all the rules and policies of even the agencies providing those services.
Gives everybody a good illustration of some of the things that people have to navigate and when they are in unfortunate situations.
Reporting in Joplin, Shagun Bamdele, KOAM News.
Today's simulation was organized by One Joplin. That's a community collaborative focused on facilitating communication and collaboration among area organizations. Silver Dollar City today provided an update on the derailment last night of a Frisco Silver Dollar City line steam train. The crash occurred shortly after 6 p.m., injuring 6 guests and 1 employee. Today, Silver Dollar City says the employee and 5 of the 6 guests have all been released from the hospital. There is no word yet on the cause of the derailment. OSHA is taking over the investigation of a bridge collapse that killed a construction worker yesterday. It happened in just east of Kearney, Missouri. Before the bridge was being built over Carroll Creek, then it gave away. Reporter Busty Webster talks with us about what happened.
Bridge is collapsed, EMS is en route.
The bridge was undergoing a full replacement under contract with the county. The sheriff's office said the crew was pouring the concrete deck when the structure collapsed at 1:44 p.m.
They had rebar and concrete down, and it's all falling in.
The sheriff's office says 3 men managed to get out with minor injuries, but a 4th was trapped in wet concrete.
It was not safe for firefighters to get down there to try to extricate him. They had to build up some barriers to make it safe for them to go in. I know it took probably about an hour, maybe a little bit more, to be able to get in there and get him out.
A life flight helicopter had been called out, then sent back. The man had died. All we know is that he worked for Lehman Construction out of California, Missouri. They're the ones the county had contracted to pour the decking. The construction project began in May of last year. The county's highway department said there were no previous safety concerns with the project. The county contracted with WSP Engineering to design the bridge and perform inspections. The highway department said an engineer was on site today to perform a safety inspection prior to the deck pour. What went wrong will now be up to OSHA to investigate. Meanwhile, the sheriff's office sent its chaplain out to help with the indescribable difficulties that others involved might be dealing with now.
According to OSHA records on the company pouring the bridge deck, 1 violation was found in 2019 related to an improper evacuation. The violation was considered serious but not willful. The company was fined $8,000. A second evacuation is underway in Tulsa in connection with the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre investigation. The evacuation includes a new area at Oak Lawn Cemetery in hopes of finding potential victims. The first evacuation took place during summer of 2021, and analysis were able to locate 19 human remains. The city says 14 of those fit the criteria for further DNA analysis. From the samples that were taken at Oak Lawn, 2 DNA samples had sufficient amounts of DNA to move forward. Control of Congress is up in the air. Campaigns are throwing it all on the field with less than 2 weeks to go until Election Day. But also at that moment, the candidates can be tripped up, especially in the high-stake races. Reporter Lauren Blatchard is in Washington with more.
In 2 Senate races, October has held a lot of unwelcome surprises and setbacks. In Georgia's Senate race, another woman declining to be named is alleging Republican Herschel Walker not only paid for an abortion back in 1993, but drove her to the clinic. It's the second such allegation after the mother of one of his children claimed that Walker paid for her abortion in 2009. As a candidate, Walker says he is staunchly pro-life.
This seat is too important for me to stand by or to step down. It's a lie, and I want everyone out there to know it's a lie.
Tuesday's Senate debate in Pennsylvania between Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz showed the struggle Fetterman is facing since suffering a stroke earlier this year. He says he has a hard time with auditory processing.
I may not get every word the right way, but I will always do the right thing in Washington, D.C.
Some questioning if Fetterman is fit enough for office, while others say his stumbles aren't a problem.
From day one, once he had his stroke, I felt he should have dropped out.
His health may hurt him a little bit, but he has good ideas.
Fetterman Fetterman's campaign claims despite his struggles on stage following the debate, they raised $2 million. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Alexander Guerin of Alamont, Kansas. Guerin served in the Air Force from 2013 to 2014. He received multiple ribbons from his deployment and finished ALS to become a staff sergeant. To Alexander Guerin, we thank you, our four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas aim to stay undefeated this weekend on the road against Central Oklahoma. We'll hear from the Gorillas in sports.
Well, definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today. A lot of clouds, a little breezy, but overall a pretty good day. High temps, mid to upper 60s, but we do have the clouds increasing now. Can't see them, it's dark. On our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort live tower cam for you. Also, we did get about 2 to 4 inches of rain, depending on where you live, earlier this week. This did help the drought a little bit. This is our new updated drought tracker, a little bit better on the Missouri side. Still, we have a severe drought in the red. Here's an extreme drought, but we were in the exceptional drought. So the exceptional drought is kind of squeezed back a little bit. Kansas, Oklahoma still very, very bad drought, but we need several more rain events to really put a big dent into that. And look at that, we got some rain moving into our western counties. Not much, and this is going to have a tendency to fall apart as it pushes in, but at least we're going to get some showers in here. You can see from Eureka, Yates Center, Chanute, Independence, and then down toward Coffeyville, these stretch just to the west of Bartlesville. So at least we got some showers out there. As we track through time, here's 11:30. These showers getting through southeastern Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma, kind of start falling apart after midnight. Still some spotty showers, and then pretty much gone by the time we head into the morning hours. But at least we get a little bit out there. Temps right now low to mid 50s to near 60 once you get into our western counties. Currently outside, 57 easterly winds, 5 to 10. Humidity is at 45%. By morning, a lot of clouds again tomorrow. 45 at 6, 47 at 9, 60 by noon. High temp right around 65 as we go into the afternoon. So this is the beginning of our next wave. This is kind of the front side. The main wave is down through parts of New Mexico, and this is actually going to track out into northern parts of Texas, and it will give us at least some chances for showers as we go into the weekend. Tomorrow, most of the rain is suppressed to our south. So as we get toward the noon hour, we just have a lot of clouds near 60. Once we get into the afternoon, mid 60s, but quite a bit of cloudiness, especially once you get into our southern counties. Day planner for you, 44 in the morning, 60 at noon, 63 during the afternoon. So overall, looks pretty good. And if we look at our future track into Saturday morning, you can see these showers trying to press back into the region. I think our best shot, we're going Saturday afternoon, especially our southern counties. So Saturday afternoon, Saturday night into Sunday morning. And these are just going to be isolated showers. Let's go all the way to Saturday. You can see ramping up just a little bit our chances. So at least we're going to have some scattered showers out there as we head into the weekend. We don't want it on the weekend, but we need the rain. 65 tomorrow, 61 Saturday, 59 on Sunday. Halloween, 68 in our second half hour. We'll look at next week, and we'll look at your trick-or-treat forecast as well.
Sounds pretty good. I'm happy that we got some rain coming, but I know my hair isn't happy. It's going to poof up.
It doesn't work good with hair.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
So coming up, tensions is ramping up with Russia.
Fighting ramps up in southern Ukraine as Vladimir Putin launches a wave of accusations against the West. Heard about that in Kyiv. That's my story. Coming up.
Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a new wave of accusations against the West today. His comments come as fighting intensifies in southern Ukraine. Reporter Greg Palcott has more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin blames the U.S. and its allies for escalating the conflict in Ukraine. During a speech in Moscow, he cited Western support for Kyiv as part of an effort to secure global domination.
Power over the world is what the so-called West has put on the line in its game, that the game is dangerous, bloody, and I would say dirty.
Putin says Russia does not consider itself a Western enemy, but warns countries will face a high price for trying to impose their values on Moscow.
The people of the world will not turn a blind eye to that policy of coercion that has long discredited itself.
As tensions build, Russia warns the U.S. it could target Western commercial satellites if they are used to help Ukraine. Troops have relied on these tools to remain connected on the front lines. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says any attack on U.S. infrastructure will be met with an appropriate response.
We have been very clear from the very beginning that you would see a very significant response from the international community. So this is important to the world.
The threats come as Ukrainian forces ramp up their efforts to retake Kherson. More than 70,000 residents have been evacuated from the illegally annexed region. Nearby, people have fled to shelters as Russia increases its strikes on civilian infrastructure.
We can't spend any night at home. We have been here every single night.
As Ukraine's forces move in, Russian-backed officials are also fleeing Kherson. In Kyiv, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Still ahead, a better than expected economic report.
The U.S. economy saw a turnaround in the third quarter of the year. The GDP grew for the first time after 2 straight contractions. I'm Martha Rivera in Washington with what the president is saying about the economy coming up.
President Biden is in Syracuse, New York, defending the state of the economy after a better than expected GDP report shows the U.S. economy grew last quarter. But some economic experts are weary. Fox Madeline Rivera breaks down the report from Washington.
Great economic report today, the GDP report. Things are looking good.
President Biden quick to celebrate. After shrinking in the first half of 2022, the U.S. economy saw a bump in the third quarter. GDP grew at an annual rate of 2.6% per a new government estimate.
And we're back in the game. We're competing again in a big way.
The bounce is due in large part to increases in exports, consumer spending, and government spending. So some economic experts say the boost may be deceptive.
That masks underlying problems within the economy that we're seeing already. The economy is slowing down. It's expected to slow down a whole lot more in the very near future.
Home sales are already slowing down. This week, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage reached 7.08%, the first time in 20 years. It's another sign the Federal Reserve's aggressive moves to raise interest rates are rippling throughout the economy.
They're paying more money for just the necessities of life, whether it's food or gas or their used car. They now can't afford to buy a home.
The economic pessimism, a major problem for Democrats with midterms quickly approaching.
And a lot of Democrats I've talked to in the last week are concerned that the party spent so much time talking about abortion that they didn't address the many voter concerns about inflation and the state of the economy.
While President Biden tried to draw contrast with Republicans on the economy during his event in Syracuse on Thursday, a Fox News poll shows 62% of voters disapprove of his performance on the issue. In Washington, Martha Rivera, Fox News.
Up next, gonna learn the story behind this spooky creation just in time for Halloween. A very creative dad in Iowa is putting other Halloween owners' decorations to shame by bringing his front door to a surreal and spooky life. Behold, the monster door. It's the latest and creepy crafty concept from the Iowa dad, Greg Deisenbach. For this year's crazy creation, Deisenbach had to create a front door from scratch. And then he incorporated high-def TV for the blinking eyes, animated arms constructed from broom handles, and a homemade foam hinge reef for the monster door's moving mouth. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How Pittsburgh organization is taking its service on the road to help more people in need. Plus, the Pittsburgh Police Department gives some tips on safely trick-or-treating. The Lord's Diner in Pittsburgh has gone mobile to better serve the community. KOAM Carrie Wurton has more on this story.
This helps families and people that are in need that don't have shelter or food.
An anonymous donor donated the Lord's Diner a food truck. The Lord's Diner site director Laura Ramsey said this is a better way to serve the community.
We would like to reach more people in the community, and transportation is an issue. So this way we can go out to different pockets in town and try to reach those who can't reach us.
The Lord's Diner used to be open 365 days a year, but Ramsey said due to staffing issues, they are only open Monday through Friday.
So on Friday evening, along with their evening meal, we hand out to-go bags. We have just individual bags, which contain shelf-stable food, and then we have family bags, which are bags that people that have the capability and accessibility to cook, they can use that food to help get them through the weekend.
Jolion Conley has been going to the Lord's Diner for about a year and said that the mobile food truck will be closer to him at one of their 3 distribution locations.
I just want to say that I think it's a blessing that everybody that is doing this is awesome, and I just praise God for the amazing things that is being done in this community.
Ramsey said that they serve on average around 300 people a night. In Pittsburgh, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
To find out more about the locations and times for the mobile food truck, or to help or volunteer, you can find it at komnewsnow.com. A Joplin law firm is showing school spirit by visiting Irving Elementary and giving out new sweatshirts with Joplin Eagles logos. The act of kindness by Johnson, Voorhees, and Martucci has been going on for more than 11 years. They all visit the Joplin elementary schools and give away sweatshirts to prepare kids for the winter season with more benefit, showing pride.
We do this because it's important to us to give back to the community, and there are a lot of times whenever families don't have cold weather gear, and as the weather turns, we want to make sure that every student in these districts has at least one good hat and one good sweatshirt that they can wear, and also show off their school pride.
The firm will visit other Joplin elementaries to hand out the remaining sweatshirts. A total of 3,700 sweatshirts will be given out. Halloween is almost here, and the kids will be heading out the door to collect some candy. KOAM Yana Hatila got some advice for keeping the kids safe while trick-or-treating.
It is almost time for trick-or-treating. While some prefer the traditional door-to-door method, others may consider the modern trunk-or-treating safer. Loretta Price, who recently moved to Girard, says she wants to get to know families in the area. She wants people to know her house is a safe and supervised place to trick or treat.
I'm trying to bring something back for the kids to be able to enjoy their trick-or-treating in safety and being supervised by their children, and just the laughter of the children, just to have a fun Halloween event.
Trunk or treating, a trend that's rising in popularity, can be a safer option. That's according to Pittsburgh Police Chief Ben Henderson.
It's a way for people to get together and come to one centralized location where it's well lit and everybody knows who's going to be there versus diverting out into the neighboring areas that you may not be familiar with.
If you do choose to find your treats door to door, Price reminds kids to only go to houses where the lights are on. You can also look for people who are sitting outside.
My mother is 84 years old. I'm probably going to dress her up and so have her participate in handing the candy out to the children.
Police recommend children not wear clothing that is all the way dark, but if they do, they can use reflectors so drivers are able to see them. And when you get home, Chief Henderson says parents should always check their kids' candy before they dig in.
Sometimes parents will call with suspicious things, but we've never actually been able to verify anything. But back in the day when I was a child trick-or-treating, there was a very big concern about people putting metal objects in candy like nails or tacks or something.
With these tips in mind, your kids can enjoy a spooky but safe Halloween.
Please come. I'm going to be handing out candy. Oh, and by the way, make sure your children brush their teeth afterwards.
Trick or treat and brush your teeth. In Southeast Kansas, Yana Hautala, KOAM News.
Chief Henderson says Pittsburgh City Hall will have their trunk or treat on Halloween outside the City Hall from 3 to 5 p.m. Police officers will be there as well. A bit later, using technology to save the planet.
Plastic may soon outnumber fish in the ocean. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at the device stopping trash before it flows into the sea. Coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice day for us today, but a lot of clouds have been increasing. In fact, we got some showers popping up on the radar. This is in our far western counties, a band trying to work in. Now, this is going to kind of fall apart over the next few hours, but some of us are going to get some showers throughout the overnight hours tonight. Here's Eureka Howard down towards Sedan. But Yates Center would be right here. Fredonia and Neodesha, here's Independence, Coffeyville. So these are going to spread east. They are going to fall apart, but they should get at least through southeastern Kansas, maybe even into southwestern Missouri. Let's look into Oklahoma, a couple near Bartlesville, but most of these are on the Kansas side. Watch these kind of march east, kind of flare up a little bit. So here's 11:30 p.m. Once they try to get into Missouri, they really fall apart. But even in the metro and up through Pittsburgh, we may get a few random showers as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Gone by morning, and then a lot of clouds sticking around. Temps right now, lower 50s Missouri, mid to upper 50s Kansas and Oklahoma, so a little bit warmer. And as we go through the rest of the night, again, those clouds, random showers, eventually down to about 44 later on tonight. But this is kind of the first part of this next wave. If we widen out, you can see it's kind of stretching up to the northeast with the upper level winds, but the main low down through New Mexico, and over the weekend that's going to track to our south and then eventually just east of us. So it will keep some rain chances around as we go into the weekend. All right, so tonight showers pop up, then they're gone. Most of the rain stays to our south tomorrow. Temperatures pretty good, near 60 by noon. And then as we get into the afternoon, most of us will warm into the mid 60s once again. So overall, looks pretty good. As we get into tomorrow night, look at these showers trying to work in. So a few into our southern counties by the time we get into Saturday. But I think our better chance for at least some showers will be some of these guys rotating back in Saturday afternoon. Now, if you live in our northwestern counties, you aren't going to get rain. This is mainly along and south of I-44, but you can see the light showers here Saturday night. We'll go into Sunday morning, and then actually a few trying to stick around by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. So you can see these popping up Sunday afternoon. Here's the good news. Look at Halloween. These are gone. We're sitting into the 60s. As we work through next week, we slowly warm up. We'll stop on Thursday back into the 70s, but check this out. We have the chances to get some very heavy amounts of rain by the time we head into next weekend, which that would help put another dent into the drought. All right, trick-or-treaters, looks good, partly cloudy. Temps sliding back through the 50s, at least no rain on Monday evening. Those showers tonight, 65 tomorrow, a few random showers as we head into the weekend. 70s return next week.
Nice. I'm happy that Halloween's looking pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad.
I'm going to see if I can grab some free candy.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
A study shows swarming honeybees can produce as much electricity as much of a thunderstorm. UK researchers made the discovery by chance. The lead author said that they were studying how different organisms use the static electric fields that are everywhere in the environment. They noticed whenever the bees swarmed, there was a profound effect on the atmospheric electronic fields, even though the weather hasn't changed. They found depending on the swarm density, the atmospheric charge could be similar to that of a storm cloud, thunderstorm, or even an electrified dust storm. Coming up in sports, the Seneca Indians aim to move on with the state volleyball quarterfinals. Plus, the slogan Panthers open the 1A playoffs at home against Central Heights. Jacob Leonard has more with the highlights.
The playoffs are here for high school football in southeast Kansas. The Colgan Panthers have a home game to begin the 1A bracket tonight, hosting the Central Heights Vikings. Now, Colgan on a roll heading into the playoffs. Panthers won 6 straight games to close out the regular season. The Vikings fake a punt on 4th and 1 on their first possession. Brody Canar there to stop it. Colgan takes over possession. The very next play, Tucker Harrell fakes the give, keeps it and takes off. Kind of coast through traffic there for 29 yards. Touchdown Colgan. They're up 7-0. Now Vikings in Colgan territory after a fumble on a punt return. The Panthers get it right back. It's Connor Van Beesler there for the interception. Brings it out of the end zone. Now Panthers drive straight down the field, and again, it is Harrell keeping it. Basically just walks in here at the end. Colgan up 14-0 after the first. So we go to the second quarter now. Panthers still rolling. Harrell gives it off to Keegan Fleming. One good stiff arm here. Finds his way around the edge, all the way in for the 32-yard touchdown. Colgan wins. It's a shutout. Final score 56-0. 8-player Division I bracket here. Oswego opens the postseason at home tonight with a tough one against Madison. First drive for Oswego. Jake Hutchinson takes the snap, goes right up the middle for the short touchdown. Madison quickly answers, though, to tie it up at 6. So the Indians try to take back the lead here. This time, Levi George barrels into the end zone. To the second, all tied up again. Hayden Helm flips it out to Bryson Turner. Makes a few guys miss, and he scores. Madison on top, 22-14. Then the Bulldogs start to pull away. Coming out of the half, Turner slips through traffic, takes it all the way. Madison picks up the big road win over Oswego, 56-32. The Pittsburg State Gorillas have just 3 games left in the regular season. And the Gorillas are still undefeated, sitting at 8-0 heading into Week 9. Pittsburg State is on the road against Central Oklahoma on Saturday. The UCO is 5-3. They got a couple big wins against Northwest Missouri State and Emporia State. It's a good test for the Pitt State offense against a really good UCO defense. That Broncos defense can kind of do it all. Top 3 in the league against the run, and they lead the MIAA with 11 interceptions in 8 games.
Each level of the defense complements one another. They're very solid up front with their guys, very strong, very physical, and so sometimes they can probably get away with just having a 3-man front up there, play one more guy in coverage to play coverage, and that makes it harder to throw the ball. Their defense also allows them to add a guy from the second level up to the front end and help with the run game. So they're always going to try to one-up you as far as a numbers game goes.
I think they definitely have a good front 7, and they've definitely got some good guys in the secondary too, and so we got to figure out some ways to get the ball out quick. That'll definitely be a challenge for us, but I think we can handle it.
The Seneca Indians are still alive for a state volleyball championship. The Indians claimed a district title earlier this week over Mount Vernon to earn their spot in the Class 3 state bracket. Seneca gets to play at home tonight in the sectional round. They're on the floor against Mountain Grove. Seneca wins it in straight sets, 3-0. Indians now move on to play in the state quarterfinals on Saturday. Seneca not the only local team playing in the state sectional round tonight. In Class 2, Diamond is on the road against Fairgrove and move on to the quarterfinals. In that one, Diamond falls 3-0. The Wildcats in the season with a 23-10-4 overall record. Finally, one more tonight. Jasper Eagles face Drexel in a Class 1 sectional matchup. And Jasper falls in that one this evening, 3-0. The Eagles end the year with a 25-9-3 overall record. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Plastic pollution is killing the world's oceans. Reporter Ashley Schromer takes a look at a device aiming to stop trash right in its tracks before it ever reaches the sea.
The Worldwide Fund for Nature estimates more than 12 million tons of plastic waste is washed into the oceans every year. And scientists warn the debris could outweigh all of the fish in the sea by 2050. But floating down this polluted California waterway just outside of Los Angeles is a massive solar-powered device called the Trash Interceptor 007.
This is like a last line of defense.
Its mission? To collect trash from streams and rivers like this before it flows into the ocean.
We have these long floating barriers that funnel trash to the front of the interceptor, where we have this massive conveyor belt which then extracts the trash from the water before dumping it into several dumpsters.
But how does trash wind up in rivers, besides being directly thrown into it?
When it rains, the trash washes into gutters, and then from gutters into this river and into the Pacific Ocean.
Going forward, officials from the nonprofit group The Ocean Cleanup say the craft should be used across other major waterways around the world to wipe out pollution.
Rivers truly are the arteries that carry the trash from land to sea. And what we found is that just 1% of the world's rivers emit roughly 80% of all the plastic going to the ocean. So if we put devices like this in the mouth of those top 1% of rivers, we believe we can stop the plastic pollution from reaching the oceans.
The Ocean Cleanup is aiming to remove 90% of floating plastic in the world's oceans by 2040. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll learn more all about the new movies released in theaters and on streaming this week. Several true stories and dramas are on the screens this week, plus an animated adventure streaming at home and a new film filled with supernatural scares for the Halloween weekend. Here's Fox Ashley Dworkin with a new look at the new releases.
Let's descend into the mouth of hell, shall we?
The new supernatural horror movie in theaters is Pray for the Devil, centered around a nun who believes she's answering calls to be the first female exorcist, leading her to a battle with a familiar demon.
This was my boy.
Expanding to screens nationwide is Till, about Mamie Till Mobley's fight for justice after her 14-year-old son Emmett Till was lynched in 1955, and how she becomes a catalyst for a modern-day civil rights movement.
Which one of you is Jane?
In select theaters is Called Jane, set in 1968, starring Elizabeth Banks and Sigourney Weaver, inspired by true events as it follows a woman who seeks out an underground group providing safe abortions in the Chicago area 5 years before Roe v. Wade.
Whole empty bed.
In select theaters and streaming on Apple TV Plus is the documentary Louis Armstrong's Black and Blues, about the legendary jazz artist, directed by Sasha Jenkins, with archival footage and never-before-heard home recordings and personal conversations. Prime Video adds the thriller Run, Sweetheart, Run, about a single mom whose meeting with a seemingly charming businessman turns into a terrifying game of cat and mouse.
There was a rumor about him.
Netflix has The Good Nurse, based on the true story of an ICU nurse who helped uncover the truth about her colleagues suspected of mysterious patient deaths at multiple hospitals. The streamer also has animated adventure Wendell and Wild from Henry Selick and Jordan Peele, about demon brothers who team up with a punk rock loving teen to summon them to the land of the living. The stop-motion animated film is also a comedic reunion, with Peele voicing Wild and Keegan-Michael Key as Wendell. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight, and thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a lion at a Milwaukee County zoo playing with a pumpkin. Be safe. We're doing this all again tomorrow. See you then.